Let's do this. Hey guys, what's going on? Jebb here, and welcome to the Jebb McAfee Show. This is going to be a show where we are going to be discussing personal finance, budgeting, the laws of money, financial sovereignty, succeeding with money, and controlling your financial destiny. I am your host, Jebb McAfee, and a little bit of backstory on me. I used to really suck with money, so why would you listen to me? I want to give you a bit of an intro here, and then we're going to be taking some callers. Really very excited to be kicking this off. Backstory. I grew up in a home that was not very good with money. I grew up in a home with a lot of love. I will say that, but it was not very good with finances. I was raised by a single father. My mother and father got divorced when I was 3. The last time I saw my mother was when I was 5. She died when I was 18, and I never got to see her again. And during that time, my single father loved me dearly. I love him so much, and he taught me some of the basics of money, but he didn't quite ever get it. And the financial pressure that we were under greatly impacted my relationship with him. And to this day, I want to have a very deep and close relationship with him, but the financial pain put a great strain on things. And so it's from firsthand experience that I have witnessed what not managing money well, and also not being in a community where people are really able to come together and help you with generosity will do to a father and a son and a family. And so after spending most of my childhood in a situation that was progressively getting worse financially, I came to the realization that I've got to change something. This has got to change. This cannot continue. And so that's when I started the Crypto Jebb YouTube channel. And I realized, wait a minute, if I could just figure out this money thing, maybe I would have some. And for 5 years, 4.5, 5 years, I thought that the only way to build wealth was through generating wealth in cryptocurrency. I didn't know about budgeting. I didn't know about saving. I didn't know about being radically generous. I knew about being generous. I was very generous, but I didn't realize I was like a law of money. If you want to succeed, you've got to be generous. I just naturally was. That's one thing my dad always was. If he was any of the 6 laws of money, he was generous. If he had something, he would give it away. He loved to help people. Loves to help people. A lot of things that nobody will ever know that he's done for people that, he would never tell because he doesn't want to brag. He's very humble. But for those 4.5, 5 years, in that time that I made millions of dollars, I was such a dang fool with it. I was a complete fool. I mean, right there, behind me, right there, that is a plaque, right over there. That's a plaque for $1 million in revenue on CT2A. We made $1.26 million on CT2A, the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy. I'm not ashamed of that. I'm very happy about it. We taught thousands of people how to do technical analysis in cryptocurrency. And I sucked at managing the proceeds of it. I was a bad steward with the wealth that God gave us because we actually pushed forward in his mission of teaching you guys. I was a bad steward of it. And eventually, you watch hundreds of thousands of dollars slip through your fingers because you've got too much payroll, because you don't have a budget, because, my God, I do not know how to cook, right? You watch money slip through your fingers long enough, and eventually you say, I've had it. Sorry for all the headphone users. Eventually you say, enough's enough. I've got to get this stuff under control. I've lived for too long in my life not controlling my wealth. I've lived under the bondage of foolishness and vanity for too long, and I refuse to continue that way. And it was around that time that I started learning that the Bible has something to say about money. Oh, I knew how to make money. I didn't have the first clue how to manage it. And I will tell you from someone who has made multiple millions of dollars in his life, but didn't know how to manage it for the first several of them, it doesn't make a difference if you can make the money if you can't keep it. Anyone who knows anything about wealth knows that risk management and risk mitigation is just as, if not even more important than the actual generation of the wealth. And so that is when we developed the 6 laws of money and the financial sovereignty way so that we would have, us, our family, Jebb McAfee would have a plan to fix this financial catastrophe that I call my financial life. I had to fix it. Eventually, just like Les Brown has said for many decades, just like Dave Ramsey said, just like you name it, the motivators, discipline, anybody, eventually you've got to get to the point of saying, I'm done. Enough's enough. This has got to change. And when you get emotional, not logical, this is not a math problem, guys, but when you get in your own head and you say, I am sick of looking at a fool in the mirror every day, is when you actually say, the pain of discipline is going to be less painful than the pain of continuing in this foolishness, and you make a change. And that's what this show is really about. This show is about me sharing with you what I have learned in this journey that is still ongoing. I've got a lot to learn. I've learned a lot for my age. I'm 24 years old, but I am only 24. I've got things to learn. You guys are going to call in. We're going to talk. You are going to teach me things, but I'm also going to be able to teach you guys things with what I've learned on this journey. And I am so excited for it because at the end of the day, finances are one of the leading causes of divorce. They're one of the leading causes of broken homes. They're one of the leading reasons why relationships fall apart. I want you to have a good life. And if you don't get your money right, good luck with that. Am I saying you can't have a good life when you're poor? No, but if that poverty is your own fault and it's coming from a lack of character, a lack of discipline, a lack of work ethic, a lack of structure, a lack of order, a lack of control, a lack of financial sovereignty, then that conviction will run rampant in your home. Don't open the doors to the devil by not actually managing things appropriately. Don't be like the sloth and sleep all day. Work hard, build wealth, and enjoy your life under the sun, as Solomon said. I am so excited for this show. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to give a quick rundown of the 6 laws of money and the financial sovereignty way for anyone who may be tuning into this stream for the first time or anyone who watches this in the future, as this will be the first episode of the Jebb McAfee Show. I'm going to give a quick rundown of what they are, and then we're also going to begin taking callers because I am looking forward to speaking to you guys about this directly. Here are the 6 laws of money. The first law of money is we've got to choose to be financially sovereign. This will be a review for a lot of you guys. We're going to go over it again. We've got to choose to be financially sovereign. What does that mean? Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. That does literally mean blessed are the meek, for they shall receive, in some regards, material blessings. Obviously, they'll receive spiritual blessings as well, but blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Who is a meek person? A weak person? No. Our culture has gotten meek completely wrong. I don't think anybody should be weak. Be strong and courageous. Be not afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go, Joshua 1:9 says. I am not encouraging a single one of you to be weak or a pushover. I am encouraging you to be meek, which means surrender to God. We've got to have our wealth under control and surrender to God, and that is how we will grow it. That's step 1 of the financial sovereignty way. Step 2, we've got to live on less than we make. If you live on more than you make, that's like driving towards a cliff. Eventually, you fall off of it. I mean, come on, this is common sense. This is simple stuff. If you have 5, let's go back to 4th grade. Let's go back to pre-K. You've got 4 apples. I take 4 away. How many do you have? None. All of a sudden, you starve because you don't have any more food. You have to live on less than you make. Step 3, we've got to have a plan for our money. Jesus says that if a man sets out and builds a tower and doesn't first count the cost, he'll get halfway up the tower, run out of materials, and the townspeople around him will laugh and mock at him and say he didn't count the cost. He didn't count the cost in the money, so he didn't budget. He didn't count the cost in the schedule. He didn't have a schedule. But most importantly, he did not know what it was going to take. That can't be us if we want to succeed with money. We've got to have a plan, a written plan for our money. In personal finance, that's called budgeting. And investment, that's called an investment plan. In time management, that is called a schedule. Law 4, we've got to avoid debt. We've got to run from it like the plague. The book of Proverbs says that the borrower is the slave to the lender, and the rich rules over the poor. Romans 13:8 says, owe no one anything except love. Make no mistake, we have a debt of love one to another, but we do not want to owe anyone anything else. The 5th law of money, we've got to save and invest. And the 6th law of money is we ought to be radically generous, as the Lord who created this world has been radically generous with us. If we follow those 6 laws of money to a T, we will succeed with money. To the extent that we don't will be the extent to which we will fail. That creates the financial sovereignty way. Step 1, we've got to repent of the foolishness. Step 2, we've got to slash and burn our expenses until we are actually in agreement with the 2nd law of money. We're living on less than we make. Step 3, we're going to build and maintain a budget. Step 4, we're going to save a $2,500 starter emergency fund. Step 5, we're going to declare war on debt, and we're going to attack it like the plague. We're going to go at it smallest to largest, IRS first. If you're not able to take out a personal loan to cover it, then you can move it down the list. But if not, then IRS first. After that, save a fully funded 3 to 6 month emergency fund in step 6. Step 7, save 15% of your household income for retirement. Step 8, work on paying off the mortgage early. Step 9, we are going to invest for extra wealth generation. This could be in something like a 529 college plan. This could be in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. This could be in you name it. And then step 10, we're going to live the financial sovereignty way, and we're going to thrive. And that's where we are trying to get all of you. And that is what I'm very, very excited to share with you today. Thank you, everyone who called into Coffee and Crypto this morning. We're going to be opening up the phone lines. Phone lines will be going open. Our number is 352. Pull this up real quick because this is literally the first day we're doing this. 352-607-2682. Phone lines are open. 352-607-2682. 2682. Go ahead and call in. Looking forward to talking to you guys. Really excited for you guys to be here. As we wait for a couple of you guys to call in, I will go ahead and read a little bit of chat. Take a little sip of coffee, and we will get it going. I'm very excited for this show. You guys are going to love this. Stay tuned. It's going to be wonderful. Drian121 is in chat, said first. Manuel Solorio is in chat, said good morning, everyone. Good morning to you as well. Music Revelation is in chat. Joe Bolier's in chat. Miguel is in chat. Crypto Surge in chat. Mattis S. Shadrach Frost. Christina Odorozco said excited for this new segment. Myself as well. We're going to be doing this week as a test. And then, if we end up loving it, then we'll keep it going. Ty Guy said, good stuff, Jebb. Thank you so much. Crypto Surge said, life is a lesson. We learn from our mistakes. That's right. Music Revelation said, totally hyped about this. Me too. I'm so excited about this. Pockpock's in chat. Emoji meta's popping. Interesting. I'm not sure too much about what that is. Ron Hart said, bro, I'm regrouping and reset coming soon. Yep. Marcus looking like it's going to be doing good. Satchet321 said, any way to call from abroad? Should be. I think you guys were able to call. We're back live again, Satchet. Yes, this is a new segment we're going to be doing, a new hour called The Jebb McAfee Show. Welcome to the stream. Jay said, good morning from Arizona. Press O'Neill said, just tuned in, missed the first show. How is this different? So this show is we will talk about cryptocurrency to the extent of that it pertains. But so let's put it this way. I have a dual mandate to you guys. And that dual mandate needs to be expressed in a way that you guys are actually going to love. Because some people are here for one of them, some people are here for another, and I don't want to confuse it anymore. God is not an author of confusion. He is an author of order. And so in pursuit of order, I've decided to split Coffee and Crypto into two different shows. Coffee and Crypto is about crypto, and if something to do with financial sovereignty comes into the conversation, fine, because sometimes we need to talk about FinSov to talk about cryptocurrency correctly. If somebody's in debt and they're buying Bitcoin, then I need to reference the laws of money and say you need to get out of the debt before you buy more cryptocurrency. But this show is primarily focused on financial sovereignty and wealth building as a whole. And if we end up talking about crypto, then so be it. So we got our first caller coming in. Let's go ahead and welcome them to the stream. Welcome.
Hello.
Hey, is it Paul?
Yes, it is. How are you, Jebb?
I am well. How are you, Paul?
I'm doing fantastic.
Thank you for calling. How can I help?
I was just calling to wonder, I've got an investment in MicroStrategies, and I was wondering what you thought about, I was wanting to invest some more, and I was wondering if you thought this would be a good time to do that.
So give me a little bit of backstory. What's the investment in MicroStrategy look like so far?
Well, I bought it last year at $500, and it went up and it split and bought a little bit more, and I just feel like I believe Bitcoin's obviously going to go up, and I feel like MicroStrategy is going to benefit from that, and I just think it's a different way to. I bought the ETFs when they first came out, and then I sold them for a profit. And I just think it's kind of like the same thing, but owning MicroStrategies is better than the ETF. I also own Bitcoin as well, obviously.
Wonderful. All right, I'm going to run you through a couple of questions to make sure that we've got all our bases covered, because if not, we're going to need to go backwards. What's your household income?
About $350,000 a year.
Wow, good job. What do you do?
I own a glass business, and my wife works for FINRA.
Wow. Okay. All right. And do you guys have any debt?
No. I mean, mortgage.
Okay. All right. Any? So no consumer debt, nothing like that.
No.
Okay. Do you guys have a monthly budget that you both work on every single month? You know where all your money's going.
We do. Yeah, we do.
Good.
She handles the budget more than I do.
But it's under control by one of you guys, and your money's combined?
Absolutely.
Good. Great. Wonderful. Okay, so I just want to check those off, because that something I find a lot of times is people ask me individual questions about investments and they have skipped a step, right? That's why we have the FinSov way. We want to go in the right order. It sounds like you have. So as far as MicroStrategy is concerned, I don't think there's anything wrong with investing in it. The thing I will say is that it is heavily tied to the price of Bitcoin, because MicroStrategy was originally created. I've interviewed Michael Saylor. It was originally created as a patent company. They're an engineering company. And so Michael Saylor has kind of taken it in the direction of doing a lot of things with Bitcoin, which is kind of off-brand, and that's fine, more power to him. But that does mean that the stock of MicroStrategy naturally is extremely correlated to Bitcoin. I don't think there's anything wrong buying it, but you are buying something that is tracking with Bitcoin. And so in my opinion, I've always just bought Bitcoin. You know, I always answer these questions, whether I'm doing a coaching call or live on air as we're doing today. I always answer a question from the stance of what would I do if I were in your shoes? I personally just put money in Bitcoin because I think that Bitcoin is going to perform better than anything else that's built on top of it. You would have to go back and we could do this, and I'll write this down because this is interesting for me to look into. MSTR versus, you know, Bitcoin here. Generally, you're going to want to look at the returns, right? You're going to want to look at which one has performed better, and you're going to want to look at any other events that have taken place. I mean, so here's the issue with MicroStrategy and why I'm not invested in it and why I'm invested in Bitcoin. Bitcoin does not have a single individual that drives it. You know, the HBO documentary came out recently. I frankly don't buy it. I don't think anybody knows who the creator of Bitcoin is, and that's good, right? Because then you don't have the ability to have character defamation bring down the price of the asset. The asset actually acts like a true commodity. MicroStrategy, as much as Michael Saylor is doing a phenomenal job, and he is, and I don't want to discount that, he is just a man who could get sick, who could step down, who could change his mind at any time. And so I don't personally invest in personalities. It's just not what I do. And when someone invests in MicroStrategy, my concern is not that it tracks with Bitcoin, because it does, and in some areas I think it actually has outpaced Bitcoin. My concern is that you're actually personally investing, at least partially, in Michael Saylor. And so that's my concern, and that's why I don't buy it. There's nothing wrong with buying it, and a lot of people have made a lot of money doing it, but that's why I personally don't. Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely, it does.
Can I clarify that can I clarify that in any way? You were thinking about putting some more money into it right now. Is that the idea?
Yeah. I mean, I've got like a 1 and 1.3 Bitcoin, so I was just thinking it was like, you know, I didn't know if I should just put it in Bitcoin or just, you know.
So as always, I want to encourage all of our viewers, especially, you know, I want to encourage everyone to make decisions for themselves. But if I were in your shoes, again, what I would do is I would put the vast majority of the money, if I'm trying to invest in Bitcoin, I would just put it in Bitcoin. Now, you can put it in the ETF. I mean, that's just a question of custody and fees and the like. But I would personally put it in Bitcoin and then maybe do a minority investment into MicroStrategy, where maybe you put 90% into Bitcoin and a smaller amount into MicroStrategy. That's just an idea. There's nothing wrong with trading single stocks. There's nothing wrong with trading MicroStrategy. But what I have found is that in general, people that make a lot of wealth over time, they buy funds or they buy assets that represent an entire sector of the economy. So, for example, the S&P 500 or another fund that tracks closely with the growth of tech stocks or the growth of pharmaceuticals or the growth of military, or in our case with Bitcoin, you're tracking an asset that is growing with the overall cryptocurrency market, right? So Bitcoin doesn't just represent itself, it represents the entire Bitcoin market. But when you invest in MicroStrategy, you are narrowing down your reward profile, but you're also greatly increasing your risk profile, because you have, you know, that individual at the top, Michael Saylor, who I, again, have a great deal of personal respect for, having met the man and spoken to him off air. He is very genuine. I think he's a great guy, and I can't speak highly enough about him, but that is an Achilles heel, right? If something were to happen to him, then the investment that you made in MicroStrategy is it's out in the open, whereas that can't happen with Bitcoin. So that'd be my concern. If I were in your shoes, I would put the vast majority of the investment into Bitcoin, and then sure, if you want to trade with MicroStrategy, then go for it. But I would personally put the majority of the investment into Bitcoin itself. But again, it's up to you, obviously.
Excellent, man. I really appreciate your advice.
Yeah, well, absolutely, and I really appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much, Paul. And hey, how are you doing? Tampa got slammed. Are you okay? I didn't put two and two together. You're in Tampa. How's it going down there?
Yeah, it's a mess down here. No gas, tree flooded. It's just a mess, but God, we're all right.
Man, but so long as you've got an internet connection, you can do that through Starlink. You can trade Bitcoin, huh?
Believe it or not, I never lost power.
You never lost power? Wow. So
I'm literally the one street in my whole entire community that didn't lose power.
Wow.
The good Lord was looking out for us.
Right. Amen. So quick question for you, actually. Being in, I think it'd be fair to call it a disaster zone. Does that give you any new perspective for our viewers on Bitcoin and, you know, its use case in situations like that?
As far as Bitcoin, I mean, I really haven't thought about that. Not really. I mean,
No.
no, I guess not.
Okay. Yeah. No, I just the reason that I'm asking is because I have a feeling that as Bitcoin becomes more adopted, you're going to see more people in situations like that where the traditional grid is down. Everybody has a smartphone. Being able to transact in that. So that's interesting. Well, I hope that you stay safe. I'm glad you didn't lose power, and God bless you, Paul, and looking forward to hearing from you again, man. Good job. Really, really, really
Excellent.
good job.
Thank you so much, Jeff. All right, man. God bless you.
God bless. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. That was a very interesting call from Paul in Tampa. And that's a good question. Do you buy Bitcoin or do you buy MicroStrategy? Like I said, the main concern that I have is that MicroStrategy does have that Achilles heel. It does have that vulnerability there in the form of Michael Saylor himself. Again, a lot of respect for Michael Saylor. One of the most viewed videos on the channel is me interviewing Michael Saylor. We discussed how Bitcoin is a superconducting, thermodynamically sound machine that allows for instant communication financially across borders. Bitcoin's amazing. Michael Saylor's a very wise individual and doing a good job of what we're talking about. I think that there's a lot. And again, phone lines are open. Phone numbers in chat. Feel free to give a call in, just like Paul just did. But I think that there's a lot that we can learn from what Michael Saylor is doing, and that is he's just consistently investing. He's to a T following the fifth law of money, investing. He's just buying Bitcoin. He doesn't really care where. As soon as he can come up with cash, he dumps it into Bitcoin, and they've made several $1 billion on paper so far from Bitcoin. And that is incredibly, incredibly inspiring, and definitely looking forward to seeing how Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy perform in the future. There is a possibility that MicroStrategy could outperform Bitcoin just because it's a different asset. But we do want to be careful with that, right? MicroStrategy is up 87% in the last 35 days. I'm not saying you shouldn't invest in it, but generally the largest sum of your investments, you're going to want to keep them in those safer investment vehicles that are lower risk, but they're still going to generate great returns. Guys, if you're looking at 15, 20% a year and you do that for long enough, you dump money into that, you're going to be extremely wealthy. People tell me, well, Jebb, everybody doesn't have a bunch of money to be able to do that. Well, here's the thing. You don't need much investment at 20% a year, 15% a year, 12% a year. You don't need to invest that much money to have millions of dollars. You just need to be consistent. We've got to look at our investments not as something that is going to replace our income necessarily anytime soon, unless you've got a big income and you can invest a lot. We've got to look at our investments as something that is first and foremost going to provide for us in the event that we are not able to generate an income anymore. You ought to be able to live off of your income, and living without having an actual job, that is a luxury. And so if you can go and make, like Paul's doing, $350,000 a year, if he wanted to, he could live on maybe 100, maybe 80. I mean, Tampa's kind of expensive. Let's say he lives on 150 and they invest 200,000. He could replace his income in 5 to 10 years. If you want to do that, great. Everybody's not in that position. So we need to figure out how to be comfortable on the income that we have, invest as much as we can. And the primary purpose of our investments is not to make a ton of money, although that's great. The primary purpose of our investments is to replace our income should something happen to us, and to provide for ourselves and people around us in case there's some kind of major emergency. So for example, right now, and again, feel free to call in if you guys want to. Right now, my wife is going through quite a lot of different health complications, and I've had to take off quite a bit of work to take care of that, and that's okay. I'm glad I'm able to do that. But what we're looking at is a situation where if I've got to step back, we have put ourselves in a financially sovereign position where I can do that. I can take a week off of work. I could take a month off of work. I could take a year off of work if I wanted to, because we have set ourselves up financially where if that is a necessity, our investments and our good money management has put us in a place where that is possible. And that, my friends, needs to be the primary purpose of your investment, is to set yourself up for safety. And after you set yourself up for safety and stability, then by all means, go make as much money as you can and prosper and have an awesome life. Absolutely. So it looks like we got somebody else calling in. Sarah, feel free to plug them through whenever you are ready. Looking forward to talking to you guys. Love it when you guys call in. Always enjoyable talking to you guys. Little miniature coaching sessions. You guys can kind of get a taste of what I do in financial coaching, except we normally dig a lot deeper into things, obviously, because we have an hour rather than just a few minutes. But very excited for you guys to be here today. Craig the Space Bomb, who called in during the last hour, said, there is no second best to Bitcoin. I love it. I love that. There is no second best. I agree. Bitcoin is definitely the best cryptocurrency. Totally agree with that. Joy Van Engelenberg said, hi, Joe. How are you and your family? We are blessed. God has been very good to us. A lot of challenges, but he's always been with us. All right. All right, guys. Good deal. So you were doing really well, Jebb, Ron Hart said. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Sorry to hear of your wife's issues. Hope she's okay. Yes, Ada, that is the that's it. She's definitely going through it. She's definitely going through it. But as I said, God's been with us, and he's helped to grow us, and we really do appreciate everything that he's done for us. All right, guys, phone lines are open, 352-607-2682. Feel free to call in. Looking forward to talking to you guys here on the stream. Let's talk a little bit more about how we can actually succeed with our money. One of the most important things that we are ever going to do with our wealth is to actually gain control of it, and that's something that a lot of people don't have. That's something that for a long time I didn't have. And a bit of story time here. What I dealt with was I went from having no money at all, being flat broke as a joke, as a bloke on the side of the road, and I ended up kind of going from nothing to making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month, and that was really bad for me. One of the worst things, somebody told me this one time, they said, Jebb, you've got to have some empathy on yourself. One of the worst things that could ever happen to a young man is to just make a ton of money and not know what to do with it. And I agree, to a certain degree, it is a curse, right? It's like it's the curse that everybody wishes they had, but in a way, it's not necessarily very good for your character. It can really bring on a lot of laziness. It can bring on a lot of lack of discipline. And so I had to learn how to manage and organize finances. I really did. I had to learn how to get them under control. We have a budget. We run it every single month now. And we make sure that we have control of our money. We have control of our income. We have brought control into our life. 1 Corinthians 14:40 says, let all things be done decently and in order. And in that passage, Paul's talking about a church service, but that applies to everything. This stream needs to be done decently and in order. Wouldn't be appropriate for me to show up here naked, would it? No, not doing that. That wouldn't be decent, right? And it also wouldn't be appropriate for me to show up to this stream without some kind of plan for what's going to happen on the stream. It needs to be orderly. There needs to be a certain order to it. And the same thing must be true in our finances. The same thing must be true in our homes. The same thing must be true in our life in general. We have to be doing all things decently and in order. It's a command. And so the statistics show it. Think about somebody who is extremely wealthy. Think about anyone who is extremely wealthy. How tight are they? Let's think about it like this. Think about anybody who's extremely wealthy, who's been extremely wealthy for more than 5 years. Because riches gained by vanity will soon be diminished. Not immediately be diminished, but they will soon be diminished. Riches gained by vanity will soon be diminished. Anyone who is extremely wealthy and kept that wealth, especially if they were able to do the very hard thing of transferring it from one generation to another, they are extremely orderly and they're extremely decent. In this context, decent might mean, what does the market want from you? Not that you always give the customer what they want, because sometimes the customer's wrong. At one point, the customer wanted a faster horse. At one point, the customer wanted a brighter candle. Sometimes you have to do what the customer doesn't want and give them something they never asked for because they don't realize how much they'll like it after they actually hear from it. You know, you guys don't get this, but your kids will, right? What movie is that from? But generally, we need to do things for the customer in business, or we need to do things in our personal lives that are decent. What's decent, right? We also need to do things in order. And so the order that we are looking for right now is an order in our finances. We need to bring order to it through our budgeting. We need to bring order to it through our saving. We need to bring order to it through our investment. We need to bring order to it through showing up to work on time. We need to do it by getting out of debt. We need to do it by ensuring that everything that we do is done decently and in order, and that will bring the kind of success that we're looking for here in our journey of financial sovereignty. I firmly believe that every single one of you that want to succeed with money can, but you have to make a decision. You have to make a decision today, right now, that you're going to make something change. You've got to make a decision that it's over. I'm sick and tired of this. I'm done being out of control of my wealth. I'm done not having money. I'm done being broke. That's why most of you guys, if not all of you, got into the cryptocurrency space, because you thought to yourself, and this is one of the things that, let me just back up. Let me paint the vision, the mission. You know, there are two ways to build a following in the culture. Either one, you can agree with the culture, or two, you can be countercultural. John F. Kennedy agreed with the culture. He went with the culture. He rode a cultural wave into the White House. Martin Luther King was countercultural. He rode a countercultural wave against racism and against all these different kind of Jim Crow laws, bigotry, if you will. He rode a countercultural wave. He said, I don't like this about the culture. John F. Kennedy walked in saying, this is what America is. Martin Luther King said, we love America, but it needs to change, and this is how. I want to be a little countercultural here in cryptocurrency. I want to be a little countercultural when it comes to money. A lot of people believe in cryptocurrency that if I buy a little bit of Bitcoin, then I can be wealthy. No, it's not that simple. It's not. That is a pile of lies that's been sold to you. Just because you buy Bitcoin does not mean you are going to get rich. Just because you buy Bitcoin does not mean that you are going to succeed financially. Because you can buy as much Bitcoin as you want. But if you have a spending problem, eventually you're going to dip into the Bitcoin and spend it. Because you can only run towards a cliff for so long before you fall off. If you have a debt problem, eventually you're going to borrow and borrow and borrow, and you're going to borrow away all the Bitcoin. What do I mean? You're going to borrow money, and you're not going to have any money left because you have a spending problem. That's why you went into debt, and then you're going to have to sell the Bitcoin to pay off the debt. Or just go bankrupt, and the court's going to take it and use it to cover the estate, right? Let's say that you are not generous. Okay, you bought some Bitcoin, great, but you're a greedy sleazebag, and everything that comes in, you keep it all to yourself. You never help anyone. Well, nobody's going to want to be your friend. You're not going to have any friends if your friends call you at 2 in the morning and say, hey, can I talk, man? My girlfriend just broke up with me. Like, I need to chat. And you're saying, bump that. I need sleep. Forget you. If you're not generous with your wealth, but in general, you have all the money you want, but you're going to be lonely, and that's a lot worse than being broke. I'd rather be poor and have a great bunch of friends and family than be rich and alone. What a sad state. People say, I'd rather cry in my Lamborghini. I'd rather have a Lamborghini and a great family. How's that for a vision, right? Come on, guys. We've got to get this together. We've got to change the way that we view money. We've got to change the way that we do things. I really, really will encourage you guys. Do everything that you can to change the way that you have viewed money. Because we view money so wrong in cryptocurrency. We view it on the one hand as a give me, give me, give me. We do everything that we can to get as much as we can, and it's all for me, and forget you, and I'm going to change my life and leave everyone behind. Let's close the door on everyone. At least we got in. You're not going to have many friends like that. There are people that make a lot of money like that. There are a lot of people that build wealth without, being generous. And guess what happens? They don't know who they can trust. There are songs written about it, right? Ed Sheeran, Beautiful People. May we never be beautiful people, right? You know that song? Who can you trust? Who in Hollywood can trust anyone? Just saw what happened with Diddy. Who can you trust? When you have a generous bone and you befriend people that are generous, you have a lot more friends. A lot more friends that are actually trustworthy. You know one of the best ways to build somebody's trust? Give them something with no expectation of anything in return. It's one of the best ways to build friendships. Or to become someone's friend. Think about it. Somebody walks up to you and gives you something and says, I just want to see you happy. Wow, I want to be that guy's friend, right? We've got to be generous. It's a law of money. It's also a law of life. We have got to change the way we do things. We've got to change the way we do things. Anybody who wants to talk more about this, make sure to call in. Phone lines are open, 352-607-2682. Really appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. Shadrack Frost in chat once again said, folks, let's hit that like button now. It only takes a second and truly supports this channel. Let's show Jebb some love and appreciation for all he brings to us every single day. I know this is countercultural. I want to hear every one of you in chat that are willing to go on this countercultural crusade with me. Who's willing to come with me and say the culture in cryptocurrency, the culture in America is wrong? It's not just about making more money. Money is very important. Sorry, income is very important. It's the actual input into the machine that you build that generates wealth. I want to help all of you build a machine where you put $1 in and $5 comes out if you wait 10 years. Or you put $1 in and money comes. That's the point. That's why you build a business. You put $1 in, $2 comes out. Wow, how'd that happen? Well, because I built a complicated machine that actually generates wealth. That's what we need to be doing with our personal finances. But we're never going to do that unless we get the whole machine right. You can get one part of the machine right. Let's say part of the machine is we buy Bitcoin, we hold it. Great, awesome. You don't have any money because you don't go to work and you're a lazy bum. You're never going to have any money. If you buy Ethereum, great. But if you go into a bunch of debt and you end up having to sell the Ethereum to cover the debt, then what was the point? What was the point? There was no point. It wasn't very helpful, was it? So we've got to get our money correct. And if we don't, you're going to regret it. I want some of you guys to call in and tell us your stories. Let's go ahead and put a kind of a, let's put a prompt out there for you guys. I'm very excited to hear about all of this from y'all. What are some of your stories? What are some of your stories, financial wins, financial hardships, and what are some of the things you learned? Because we can learn from successes, we can learn from failures. I learned a lot from those first few years where I was making a lot of money. I learned how you give the people what they want. People wanted CT2A. They wanted to be able to drop a couple $100 and learn everything they need to know about technical analysis in 20 hours or less, right? I mean, that was the point. I spent thousands of hours learning TA. I was able to distill it down into a course where people learned in a couple dozen hours. That was worth something. That was valuable to people. So people bought it, right? People want to see cryptocurrency. They want to see themselves succeed with technical analysis. And that's why we're building FinSov Academy, because I know you guys are going to like it. Probably not the whole audience. There's some people in the audience that won't like it, and that's fine. That's okay. We got other content for them. But there are some people that say, oh man, I really want to get my money correct. I really want to get my money correct. How do I do that? And so those are the people that are going to be tuning into that. And so that's something that I learned, is that when I teach you guys something and I make it as simple as possible to understand, you guys value that and the business grows. On the other hand, we've also got to figure out, what is it that we stand for? Where's the marriage between what we want to do and what our customer wants? Where's the marriage between what you want to do and what your boss needs? Where's the marriage between what you want to do and what the customer needs? What is it that you like to do? What is it that you like to do? I want to hear your success stories and your failure stories. Success and failure. No judgment. We all lose. We're all just standing on a big pile of our mistakes, trying to learn something from them. We all have a past that we've learned from. What are some of your successes and some of your failures? Call us in, 352-607-2682. We'd be happy to take your call and discuss that. I'll tell you some of my stories. One of my failures is that I, for a long time, have not been very time disciplined. You know, one of the laws of money that I've realized is actually not just a law of money, it's also a law of time management. It's a law of anything that you do that involves substance, right? Time is something that we should be under control of. Our money is something we should be under control of. Our homes are something we should be under control of. Our families, to a great degree, are something that we should have control over. Instead of just saying, oh, we'll hang out whenever, and you never end up spending time with your family, we need to go on a trip, right? We need to have a movie night, whatever. We ought to have control and structure in these things. But one thing I've always been very bad at is actually planning stuff. I'll go on trips, or I used to. I don't really do this anymore, but I used to go on a trip, and I wouldn't have a clue what I was going to do when I got there. Yeah, here's an embarrassing story. On our honeymoon, my wife's going to be like, dang, Jebb, you're bold to tell this story. We went on our honeymoon, and I didn't plan any of it. It was terrible. I feel terrible. It's one of the biggest regrets of my entire life, right? We got there, I'm like, what do we do? Went to Gatlinburg, where I was born. I was like, oh yeah, we'll do this. We went on and did a few things, but I didn't have an itinerary. I felt terrible. It was horrible, right? We're going to recreate a trip like that sometime, but you're going to try and fix it. I hear her in the other room being like, oh my gosh, Jebb's telling that story. Yeah, I am. It's horrible. Come on, Jebb. Screwed it up, right? That's one of the things I look back, I'm like, man, wow. When something important is going on, you need to have a plan for the time. So we go on a that was a week-long trip. You guys remember back in 2022, 2022 when I was gone. Sorry, 2021 when I was gone. But like we went on a trip for about 6 months ago. And instead of doing that, I learned my lesson and I planned out everything we did. We went on a helicopter ride. We went on a yacht. Dinner yacht. We went on a dolphin sightseeing tour. We picked out the restaurants we went to. We went to a couple Starbucks and kind of planned out some things that we want to do in our marriage. It was really great because we planned it. We did more in 2 days because I actually planned out the entire itinerary, put it in our calendar. We're going to do this, then we're going to do this, we're going to do this. Got the tickets. This is where the parking is. This is how long it'll take us to walk from the parking to the yacht. Planned out every single step of the way, where we're going to stay, obviously where we're going to stay, the parking, what that all looks like. Budget, all of that, planned it all out. Great time. Did more in 2 days than we did on our entire, honeymoon. And I'm going to fix it. For all of you out there watching, feel free to get on my butt, because I did. I screwed it up. But that's the point. We've all got failures, right? I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I mean, we were engaged for 19 days. We got married quick. I love my wife. I was like, I'm not letting that one get away. She's awesome. Right? Not that she wanted to go anywhere, but but we got married quick. So we were spending all this time preparing the wedding. I was like, oh my gosh, how do we plan the So we're going to fix it. We're going to fix it. Pew Pew Poom 2 said, brah, you owe your wife a proper honeymoon. Take her to Bermuda. That's the idea. That's the idea is to recreate that experience and make it actually a lot more planned and fix it. So, yeah, feel free. Again, I'm being vulnerable. I'm telling you guys some of my failures. Feel free to call into the show. Tell us some of your failures, some of your wins. What are some of the things that you've done that have taught you lessons, either successes, failures? Want to hear it, and really appreciate all of you guys for being here. Siobhan Golay said, at a long time, we meet again. Hello, my man at Crypto Jebb. Siobhan, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Guys, phone lines are open, 352-607-2682. Feel free to call in. Would love to speak to some of you guys live on air here. Queen said, love you, Jebb, and I love your professionalism without the crew. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. You know, here's the thing. Pew Pew Poom 2 says she's a saint. She is a saint. My wife is a complete saint. She's a total saint. You know, the Bible says that angels walk among us in human clothes. She's one of them. She's one of them. I'm going to go ahead and out her. You know, I don't know if I'm supposed to be outing her as an angel among us, but I'll go ahead and do it. She is absolutely a saint. You live and you learn. Yes, you live and you learn and you regret, right? We want to minimize. If you're trying to think of a maxim to live life by, regret minimization is a good one. What is it that you're going to do today so that in 50 years you won't regret that you didn't do it or regret that you did do it? That's where I try, and when I'm thinking about what do I want to do, I'm trying to think to myself, what should I do right now? What should I do right now that I don't regret it 50 years down the road? What would my 60, 70, 80, 90-year-old version of myself want? And that's where that leads you in a lot of interesting directions. You're like, you know, oh my goodness, 3 kids under 4. I love the little guys, but my goodness, they've got a lot going on, right? And you think to yourself, oh man, I don't know if I can handle this. And then you think to yourself, wait a minute, when I'm 80, do I want to have 3 kids or do I want to have more? We don't know how many kids we're going to have. Right now, we're probably just going to have 3. We're going to see. Obviously, Sarah's going through a lot, so we need to kind of know what's going on before we have any more. But, you know, looking in the future, if everything is healthy and it's not actually what's happening, then we look out in the future, we're 80, we're like, man, we'd like to have a bunch of kids. So you have to kind of balance where you are today and what you want today, and also balance what it is that you're going to wish you had have done if you fast forward 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. And to a certain degree, sorry about that, to a certain degree, you need to kind of live life today based on what you want your life to have looked like in the rearview mirror. Almost put yourself, kind of step out of your own body, step into your body 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years from now. Say, what do I want my life to have looked like? Because now I've had enough of an adult life at this point. You know, I've been an adult for 7 years, right? Not that long, but long enough that I've got something I can look back on and I can say, wow, I'm really, really glad I did that. I'm really glad I took a leap and I started the YouTube channel. I'm really glad I left my job and went full-time in it, even though it wasn't making a penny. Been full-time on YouTube for over 6.5 years now. I'm really glad I did those things. Really not glad that I didn't start getting up earlier. Really not glad that I wasn't more disciplined. Really not glad that it took me that long to figure out how to have a budget and manage our wealth, right? Really not glad it took me this long to do some of these things. But what I have seen, what I've seen is that when I look back and I say, wow, I did a great job there, I need to keep doing that. And wow, I look back and say, man, I was really screwed up right there. And if I look back on the last several years, this is the thing that I most wish was different. That's where you understand where you've got to grow. Queen says, Sarah needs a few years to chill, no kids for a few years, my 2 cents. I totally agree with you. I totally agree. Poor lady's been through the absolute ringer. I'm with you. All right. Like I said, phone lines are open. 352-607-2682. Feel free to call in. Looking forward to hearing from you guys. Really enjoy talking to you all. Really, really, really appreciate all of you guys. So, what is the key to controlling our finances? What is the key to controlling our finances? The stream is titled How to Win with Money and Control Your Financial Destiny. Let's kind of take that one at a time, because one leads into the other. How do we win with money? The way that we win with money is by controlling it and managing it God's way. People don't want to hear that. You know, a couple of the most common comments I get It's really funny because they're both tied to the financial sovereignty thing. And this is where we split the stream, because I do genuinely want to serve the people that say these things. But it's still funny. The first comment I get a lot is, Jebb, cut all the religious nonsense. I can't. I can't. I can't do that. That's my source material, right? That's a little bit like trying to play, Lord of the Rings board game, and you're like, burn your Lord of the Rings book. I got no, not going to understand the game. That's my source material, right? I can't do that, and I won't do that. It's not just that I can't. I won't. I'll tell you right now. No. N-O. Period. It's a full sentence. No, I won't do that. And the reason is because the way that you win with money is you do it God's way. If you want to win with money, do it God's way. What is God's way with money? The 6 laws of money that are biblical. Choose financial sovereignty. Live on less than you make. Have a plan for your money. Get out of debt and stay out of debt. Save and invest. And be generous. Those are the 6 laws of money that the Bible teaches. You can find probably 100 verses to back up each one of those laws of money in the scriptures, or at least multiple. It's very, very clear. It's very clear. Now, you don't open your Bible and it says Proverbs chapter 32, right? The lost chapter. The 6 laws of money are da 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 da. You got to actually read the Bible, You got to read it. When you read it, you will find those 6 laws of money everywhere. You'll see it all over the place. You'll see it in the character of God. Does God have debt? No. Doesn't know anybody anything. Doesn't know a squat. Doesn't know us a dang thing. What we're seeing is that when we want to succeed with money, the way that we're going to succeed with money, we're going to succeed with money by doing it God's way. And so how do we... I don't know if it's messed up, but someone called but isn't talking. Looks like we might be having a little bit of technical difficulties with the calling. This is why, as I said, this is a test. So we're going to be running this test all throughout the week. And so if we can't get it fixed in the next few minutes, then we will have it fixed for tomorrow, where you guys can call in. But always enjoyable to just sit here and talk to you guys also. Yeah, but when we want to control our financial destiny, the way that we're going to control our financial destiny is very similarly the same way that we win with money. We've got to do it God's way. How do we control our financial destiny? Because here's the thing. What I found in running, in exercise, in many different areas, is that we do not have necessarily control over the things that we want control over in our life. You cannot control your net worth. You can't control it. I mean, try. Go into your bank right now and just add a few zeros. You can't do that. It's not possible. So what do? We can't control our net worth. We can't control whether we have enough money. What we can control is we can control whether we're budgeting. We can't control what we're spending. We can't control what we're earning. We can't control whether we're going into debt. We can control whether we're being generous, being a light to people, and receiving blessings from God and other people. We can control these things. And if we choose to control them, then that is where we secondarily are able to control our we were able to secondarily control our net worth. We were able to secondarily control our financial destiny. We have to control, and here's the principle. Here's the principle nested in all this, which is what I'm trying to share. We must control the controllables and give the uncontrollables to God. That's what we got to do. We have to control the things that we can control, and the things that we can't control, we've got to have faith. We've got to have faith. We can control the controllables, but we cannot control everything. So we have to have faith in the areas that we can't control. If you want to win with money and you want to control your financial destiny, you have to take control over the things that you can control. You have to bring order to everything that is necessary for you to succeed. If you want to win with money, you've got to get good people around you. You can control that. You can stumble in the back door of a church saying, I got no idea what's going on, but I still love, Jebb told me to go to church, so I'm going to go to church. Hello, my name is child of the one true king, right? Hello, I am Jilly Bob Bob. Don't ask me why my name is Bob twice. I'm just stumbling in the back of the church because Jebb told me to, because I want to control my financial destiny. And he told me I need to meet this Jesus fella. Where is he? Is he around here? Can I talk to him? Right? Stumble in the back door of a church, get some friends that are serious enough about being your friend that they're willing to tell you when you're wrong. That's how you know you got a good friend. If they're willing to tell you you're wrong, not to hurt you, but to build you, that's how you know you have a good friend. Define a good friend. Someone who's willing to tell you you're wrong, for your benefit. I do think we have a call coming in, so let's go ahead and pick up. Hello there. How are you doing? Oh, hang on. Muted. Try again. Hello.
Hey, Mr. McAfee.
Hello. How are you doing, Jesse?
I am doing fantastic. I know that you were asking for business and like failures and stuff, and I have a huge story with starting my business.
Cool. Let's hear
I owned a Hope Locating, and when I started, just like kind of like when people start with crypto, they get so excited and overwhelmed, and I didn't have a business plan. Mm-hmm. I started going to Chamber of Commerce meetings, gathering communication education, and I found out there were resources just like you have on your site for myself. But there is a website that is free to anyone out there that is in business or trying to build their money or learn anything, and it's called score.org. And it's nonprofit. They assign mentors. I had a mentor. He was actually the first gentleman that put cable into the United Kingdom, and he was a billionaire, met me down for coffee and was like, "You're not going to go anywhere until you have a projection of every step that you're doing." And the templates on there are free for everybody to see, but it's just not business. It's, extra, learning on actually AI, how to use AI. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of people that are, needing that and needing that education, and it's free. And they send you templates afterwards where you could save them. And I really like it. I wish I would have taken more time and did that, and but my business blew off, and I just was like, okay, I got this. How do I build a website? Let me teach myself. Mm-hmm. And asking others for help is like one of the biggest things. That the failure of everything coming was like the biggest pain in my heart, because when the phone rang and I did factoring for my employees and ended up having the factoring company mess up my bank account. Long story short, I paid my employees too much money.
Yep.
And I took care of them first instead of taking care of myself first.
Yeah, so not having a plan there can really throw things off, and that's what I think Jesse's saying, is that you've got to. I think there's two really great messages wrapped up there. First and foremost, you've got to have a plan, and that's one of our laws of money. We've got to have a plan for our money. In business, that's called a business plan, right? It's not just that. There's a reason that it's called having a plan for your money. It's not just having a plan for your money in the sense of a budget. In investment, we've got to do the same thing. It's not a rule. It's an underlying heart posture of doing things orderly and in a controlled and correct manner. And in this sense, it means having a business plan. It means having a plan of, in business, you've got to write down your systems, right? Sarah's over there. She's got a 3x5 note card with a script in her hand, right? There's a system. There's a plan, right? Our plan for this stream, and whether we hit it or not is the question. But the plan for this show is Coffee and Cryptos from 10 to 10:45. The Jebb McAfee show is from 11 to 12 noon, right? There's a structure. There's an order that we're striving to achieve. So the first thing is that there's got to be that order. And the second thing that she brings up is very important, and that is that we've got to have mentors, right? It's very important for you guys watching this, for me, for Jesse here. It's very important that we are able to have people that we can lean on and call to for advice, right? The book of Proverbs talks about how in the multitude of counselors, men shall go to war. Well, there's all kinds of proverbs on this. Here's another example. Jesus was speaking to Mary and Martha, right? And Mary was wise enough to sit there at Jesus's feet and listen to what he had to say, because he's a wise counselor. In this case, he's also the savior of mankind, right? Mary had the wisdom to sit there at his feet and shut up and listen. And Martha, her sister, was sitting there cleaning. You can imagine she's sweeping the floor, she's doing the dishes, she's doing this, that, and the third. And she says, "Mary, won't you help me? Jesus, won't you tell Mary to get up and help me?" And Jesus says famously, "Martha, Martha," just like, "Martha, Martha, come on. Do you not understand what's going on here? She is listening to wise counsel. That is more important than whatever housework you're doing." Jesus didn't say the full thing, but that's what he meant. He was saying, "Martha, Martha, Don't you realize that she's listening to me, like God, Jesus Christ? So we have to take that into account. We've got to have a plan for our money, and we've also very seriously got to have people in our life that are willing to smack us upside the head and say, hello, wake up, get it together. You're missing something here, and it's going to hurt. Someone told me in a stream the other day, they said, Jebb, it sounds like you're scolding people all the time. Why are you always scolding us? And I said, because to a certain degree I am. I don't know who needs to hear it, but someone under the sound of my voice right now needs to be rebuked and be told, you are walking towards a cliff. And if you keep going that direction, you're going to fall off the cliff. We have this culture, and thank you so much for calling in, Jesse. I really appreciate you. And feel free to call back if you have anything else that you'd like to add to that. I'm going to go ahead and let you go now. But I really do think that what she's talking about here is so, so important. We need to have people in our life that are willing to tell us, you are walking towards oblivion. You are going to get hurt doing this. You are going to fall off a cliff. You're going to go bankrupt. You are going to lose your house. And we need to be able to hear that. We live in a culture today that we believe not offending people is the point. We believe not offending people is love. I'm sorry, but I would rather tell you that you're about to set your butt on fire and offend you than not say anything at all. Our pastor was talking about this in preaching through the Sermon on the Mount yesterday. Reference Ezekiel 33. In the book of Ezekiel, the prophet Ezekiel says that it's a little bit like this. There's a watchman watching over the town. And if the watchman sees an invading army come, and he warns the town people to take up arms and defend themselves, and they don't do it, and they just sit there and sleep, and they just ignore him, but he sounded the alarm, he tried to wake them all up, said, hey, you got to defend yourself, that the army's coming, and they don't do anything about it, then the blood is on their hands. If, on the other hand, the watchman sees the invading army come, or doesn't do his job and doesn't see them come, and the invading army comes and ransacks the city, and the watchman didn't do his job to warn the people of the city that the invading army is coming, then what ends up happening is that the blood of the city is on the watchman's hand, because they didn't have the ability to defend themselves because they placed their hope in him to warn them. The watchman sharing with the city, hey, your destruction is imminent, take up arms and do something about it, is not an unloving thing. We live in a culture right now where I, as a watchman, tell you, if you're going into a bunch of debt, you're going to go broke. If you're living on more than you make, you're going to go broke. I am that watchman telling you, if you do not live a generous life, nobody's going to want to have anything to do with you, and you will not receive the blessings of God because your heart has made money into an idol. When I am a watchman standing on the city gates and I tell you that, or I tell Coffee and Crypto that, or I tell anybody that, if you are offended at me, then the blood is on your hands. But if I don't tell you, then the blood's on mine. I don't have the option to tell you that you're going down the wrong path. Now, if you tell me to shut up, by all means, I will do that. I will respect you and honor you if that's what you want. You don't have to. You're not bound. You can tune out, and people do. But Jebb, it sounds like you're scolding people. I am. There are people under the sound of my voice, and myself too. I'm no better than any of you guys. I've had to look myself in the mirror and say the same thing to myself. You got to change. This has got to end. America, the world, YouTube, whatever, wake up. Wake up. Smell the roses. The invading army is coming. And when the watchman tells you that, and you come outside and you say, it's 3 a.m., shut up. And then they come in and they murder you and your family, you can't blame the watchman because he warned you. And so I don't care if I offend you. That was never the point of any of the content I'm doing here on the stream. It was never to coddle any of you. It was to say that things have got to change. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. That means my wife, my kids, me, we corporately will serve the Lord. This channel, this company is 100% owned by my wife and I, and will stay that way forever. Because this channel, this company, what we are doing will always and forever 100% be part of our house, and therefore it will serve the Lord. And part of what that means is me telling you when you're walking off a cliff. And so not only, like Jesse said, do we need to have a plan, we also must must have people in our life that are going to mentor us and counsel us, encourage us, teach us, challenge us, rebuke us, lead us to repentance, and help us to succeed by showing us our weaknesses. If we don't have that, then we are going to fail. I hope you guys have enjoyed this first episode of the Jebb McAfee Show. Again, Coffee and Crypto has not gone anywhere. It's from 10 to 10:45. Over there, we will be talking 90% about cryptocurrency, just a little bit about FinSov if it comes up. Over here, we're talking about financial sovereignty, and if crypto comes up, we'll talk about it. But this is primarily a personal finance and a betterment show, a personal betterment show. So make sure you tune in to Coffee and Crypto. If you want cryptocurrency, make sure to tune in here if you want to learn more about financial sovereignty and how to actually succeed with money. We'll be back at 10 a.m. tomorrow bringing you more financial sovereignty content. I really appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. If you did enjoy today's video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and think about any questions you'd like to bring to this conversation over the course of the week as we will be doing the Jebb McAfee Show here from 11 to noon. Thank you so much for tuning in to this pilot episode. Looking forward to having you guys back next time. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.